What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Trade Alts analysis. Got a really good one for you today. First, we're going to take a look at some recent Bitcoin price action, see what the charts tell us. We're going to get into a few altcoins. Got Auger, Eos, Matic, and Tron. I'm going to follow up on those two from our video that we did last night and kind of what's happened since. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get it. So here we have Bitcoin on the hourly chart, and you can see for now we're just kind of going sideways. We've got some sideways price action, a little consolidation, which has been phenomenal for alts. Altcoins are just absolutely ripping right now. So if you're in alts, congratulations. You're probably very happy with what's going on. But you can see here this previous key level. I just left this on here because this was our previous all-time high, and you see when price made the push up, we got this big candle pushed, made a new all-time high. We came right up here. We wicked up to 45,000 exactly on the Bybit chart before we got a push off. Then we came back up, tested the 45,000, which was this all-time high now. We came back up here, a little bit of resistance before you push through, and we started forming this range that we're in now. But you can see right here on this candle, we actually got a perfect SR flip. We got a perfect test. So that was previously previous resistance here at 45,000. We broke through and came back, and actually this wick down was exactly 45,000. So it was a perfect test of support there before we got a nice push off. And since then we've just been going sideways here. I'll actually take a fixed range of this consolidation. You can see right now we're sitting below point of control. So, as far as things go right now, especially if you look at Ichimoku right here, like I don't know if you know me by now, like I really like using Ichimoku because it's really easy to tell kind of how it's trending or if we're going sideways. But in this particular case, you can see that with the hourly Kijun here that's flattening out completely, this indicates a loss of bullish momentum, which isn't surprising considering that we're starting to consolidate around here. But you can see Tenkan, there is a big divergence from where the Tenkan is to where the Kijun is. So there's a huge gap here. And you can see like when Tenkan and Kijun are close together, this is what you want to see. So you want to see them really close together like that. Really nice trend. And then we got this really big move up, price consolidating, loss of bullish momentum. It forms this there's a huge divergence here, and this is also known as a C clamp. I'll actually draw it for you, but this is a C clamp. And what that tells you, again, besides the loss of bullish momentum, is it tells you to be careful of a potential move to test the Kijun. So that's possible because you're going to have kind of one or two things happen. So either you're going to have price move down to get back to equilibrium, which is what Kijun is. So this yellow line is equilibrium for the hourly chart. Or you're going to see Kijun gradually move up, which in this case, it looks like it's going to start climbing. But you want to see these two get back together because this is kind of a warning signal to tell you that like price currently could be a little overextended. You want to be real cautious of about if you're longing this area, I would just be a little bit careful. But considering that we're below the point of control for this range, and you can see we've wicked up here a couple of times, we're just sitting right below it. That's kind of another indication to me that until this is reclaimed, so until about 46,900 is reclaimed, the chance of us coming back down to test kind of this key support level, it's probable in my opinion. And we're also sitting, I believe this is the R1. Let me actually zoom out a little bit. The R2. So this is the R2 yearly pivot. So we're also using that as support right now. If we were to lose this level, I think that the odds of us coming back down to test kind of this region right here is pretty likely. Kind of this this region where you have an hourly level and you have your key, you know, your $45,000 SR level. If you were to, if price was to come back down and we lose this level, I wouldn't be too surprised of, you know, maybe even a test of the Kijun, or, you know, we come down and test some of this cloud support here. But at the moment, you know, as long as we're kind of hovering around where we're at, it's not too bad. You can see the value area low of this range that we're in is kind of like the immediate support level around 46.2, something like that. But yeah, we're just going sideways, and this is really good for alts. Definitely not complaining. But for now, this is kind of, you know, this is kind of the key support that I would look at. And if we lost this, I would look for lower, maybe even retest the prior all-time high. That wouldn't be, you know, anything out of the ordinary. But now, talking about the upside, the first level that you want to see reclaimed, again, is this range point of control here, around 46,874, something like that. If price was able to reclaim this point of control, kind of do one of these and work its way back up, then you have, you know, these two levels up here. I don't think they're not really like major levels or anything, but, you know, if we can get a move up and a back test, then you would look for, obviously, you know, obviously it'd be a new all-time high, likely headed to 50,000 next. I think I actually had I drew a fib extension, and I think that my target, the one for that one-to-one move, was around 53,000 or something. So I wouldn't be too, you know, 50,000 is a pretty big level. It's a, you know, it's a really key psychological number, just being a whole number. You're literally halfway to 100, you know, from 0 to 100,000. So I would think that initially, I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw like really big resistance right there. But for me, 53,000 is kind of the level that I would be looking towards. And really after that, it's about 63,000. So I think that's where the our 3 yearly pivot is. But so that's Bitcoin essentially. Right now, just sideways. No reason to, you know, no reason to panic or anything. If anything, this is really good to build up some support levels around here. But as long as alts are running, you can't really complain because everything's looking pretty good. So that's Bitcoin. So this is rep. Also, it's Auger, but it's rep USD here. And it did something today that, you know, the reason why I wanted to cover this, and this is kind of a messy chart to a degree because you see there's a lot of wicks here. But it did something today that kind of, it's like a change of behavior, like something that drew, you know, that got my attention. But you can see here, this is a really big support region that I'll draw. So you have your monthly level, you have your value area levels, your value area high, and your macro point of control. Like there's a lot of activity in this region here. Huge, huge, huge support. And you can see we actually pushed above this weekly level, which if you go back historically, so there's only been wicks through. So you see this long wick here to the upside. There's a little wick here. Just had a wick a few days ago, but no closures above. Same back here. Once we lost this level, so this was kind of an interesting, you know, you kind of had a pump and a dump here. But there hasn't been a lot of activity above this weekly SR level. And at daily close today, you can see we actually closed above this weekly, which is a big deal. And then we perfectly back tested it. So you can see right here, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see we closed above today, and then we perfectly back tested it. Right now we're holding above. So as far as this goes, and immediately like going back to Ichimoku, you can see that the blue line, which is your Tenkin, is bearishly crossed your Kijun. But if we can get the blue Tenkin to recross here, then you'd have kind of the same setup that Bitcoin had the other day that I did the video on. You had a bullish TK cross above cloud. The cloud is bullish. You got your Chiku span, this purple line right here. Right there. But that purple line is above price. So you can see the price is down here and your purple line's up here. This is very bullish. So as long as price, you know, continues to hold this weekly or maybe even start grinding up, we can get this blue Tenkin to recross bullishly this yellow Kijun. I think rep has some serious upside potential. You can see there's not a lot up here at all. So this is like the all-time high on the Coinbase chart. And you can see it was a very quick move up and a quick move down. So the fact that we were able to reclaim this weekly level here, to me, is a pretty big deal. I wouldn't be too surprised, you know, if we do manage to move up. I'd say like you're looking around $31, $32. You could see a bit of resistance. Your R1 yearly pivots here at $34. But I think rep is definitely one to keep an eye on. It's one that I'm very interested in. And again, like you know, as far as risk reward, to me, like I know where I'm wrong on this trade. It's really like if you're looking at this from a long-term swing perspective, you do not want to lose this green box. So this is like long-term massive support. If price was to do one of these, so let's say that we kind of bounced around, we lost the weekly, and then we kind of just started to grind our way down. Like once you lose this support here, then you obviously could be headed for much lower levels. I don't really anticipate that happening right now, but it's definitely something that you want to be aware of. You really could, you know, I don't know if I would use this weekly as kind of like my, you know, like if I were to take a trade here, like would I put my stop loss below this weekly? I mean, that's you know, that's something that you would have to think about, like what your risk profile is. But considering like this is also like a really important support right now, and you have cloud support here. So if price was to come back down, maybe you know, like we could just kind of grind out this area. We could take a wick down and come back up, and before we got the move up. And if you put your stop loss too tight, there's a good chance that you're going to get wicked out of that trade. But rep looks pretty good to me, especially if we can get this bullish TK cross here. I think the upside potential on it's really, really good, and your invalidation isn't too far away. Again, you want to see this level hold. It's very important. So that's rep. Real quick, the BTC pairing though, and this is this is a really ugly chart. Like make no mistake about it, this is horrible. But kind of like what stands out to me is you can see here back in August, you got a huge move, and we've done nothing but dump, literally just straight down. And you can see here, it's like we're trying to make a bottom, right? So we bottomed out here. You got to move up. So you have your low right here. You have your high. And maybe you made a lower, or I'm sorry, maybe you made a higher low here, and we're trying to move up. It's hard to say, but I really like the USD pairing quite a bit. The Bitcoin pairing it kind of leaves a lot to be desired, but that also is interesting to me because it tells you that it's severely underperformed Bitcoin for quite a while now. So if it started to run, like there's a chance that it could run really, like it has a lot of room. Like if you go back through this chart, I mean, it's literally, you know, it's been down a nice, you know, I'd say kind of a nice grind higher for a bit, and then just a huge, you know, once Bitcoin started running, it's performed really poorly. But this also tells me like there's a lot of potential upside if the BTC pairing can make a turnaround. So that's rep. Let's move on to EOS. EOS also did something today that why I wanted to cover it. So not only did you break through this weekly SR level here, which is really important, you can see like this has been a major resistance, you know, ever since August. So August 15th, you've tested it, rejection, tested it again, big rejection, another test here, huge rejection, and finally you just broke through it. And on the same daily candle, not only did you clear your weekly, but you also close above this monthly level. And again, so we got our close above, and then after daily close today, got your back test of your monthly, and so far you're sitting really nicely above it. I mean, this is a really strong close, and it's been kind of a long time coming for EOS. If you've been holding EOS for a long time, you know that it's kind of hasn't been doing anything. It's really underperformed the majority of the rest of the space. So this is I'm sure this is a welcome move for a lot of people. But you know, this EOS is another one that could have a lot of room to run potentially. You can see here is your monthly. You're in kind of like a clear you're in kind of like clear space here, to be honest. Like I would not be surprised if EOS comes up to touch like, this zone right here between your R1 yearly pivot around 490 and your weekly at $5. Anywhere, up to $495 looks pretty good. And then if you're able to reclaim this weekly, I think like if you look at this chart, if you're able to reclaim this weekly, especially if you're able to take out this high right here that was made back in February of 2020, I mean, I think there is a significant amount of upside for EOS. And there's your levels. These are levels that I would be watching, especially this weekly level right here at 723. Whoops, sorry. The 723, it's also your R2 yearly pivot. This is going to be, I would imagine that this is going to be pretty big resistance if we come up here. But EOS is one of those. It's been lagging. You can see we had a huge consolidation area. I mean, this is ever since the March crash. So we were up here around $5. Your March crash came, took you all the way to $1.40. And, really, since March 2020, all the way to January, this is 10 months of basically just sideways consolidation. And you're finally breaking this range that you've been in for almost a year now. So, like, if I had to look at this and take a guess, especially with what the rest of the market is currently doing, would I say, like, this is the end for EOS? Unlikely. So, what would I want? Like, so as far as, like, when I look at this, EOS looks really good. I think it can go quite a bit higher. You see, this is your support right here. It's really this zone. You don't want to lose this. So I would say this is your support that you do not want to lose. If you got acceptance below this weekly again, I'd be a bit concerned, because I wouldn't, like, especially you can see that we've tested it once, twice, 3 times, and you got your break. If we came back down to retest it, I would expect this, like, you would want to see this. If you're bullish, you'd want to see this hold up as support. But to be honest, the way that things look, you might not get that retest unless there's a huge Bitcoin move. Maybe Bitcoin drops a few thousand, might temporarily bring alts down for a little bit. But I would expect for this area to hold. If this area is lost, then you could very easily, if this area is lost, you could very easily come all the way back down to the bottom of this range, because if you've seen it now several times. So there's no reason to think, it doesn't matter what kind of market that we're in, to be honest, there's no reason to think that if you lose this, that this isn't possible. Because for those of you, again, who've been holding EOS for a long time, you'll know that it's very possible. But for now, phenomenal, looks really good, and I would expect this, I would like to see this continue to move higher. But this is the region that you need to watch. And then as far as your kind of like your initial resistance, I'd say that your next resistance is going to be this box. So this is going to be kind of your next region that you're going to look for as far as potential resistance goes. But for now, EOS looks pretty good. So finally, we're going to move on. We do these really quickly, but this is Matic. We touched on this in last night's video, and I had said that basically we came up to this huge level. So macro point of control, your yearly level, which you rarely see in a lot of alts, your quarterly, I mean, these are like huge levels of, this was a very big resistance zone. And I had said that, and you see that we got the rejection. So I think this is right. I think right around here is when I did the video last. And I had said, like, for Matic to continue higher, you're going to need to see this level reclaimed. And if it did, odds are that it's going to move up. I would give it the benefit of the doubt that it's going to move quite a bit higher because of how big of a resistance level this is. So same thing that you saw in EOS and Rep. You got your close above the quarterly level, which is really important. And you got your back test. So you can see that you're getting your closes, but you're also getting your back test to verify that this is essentially a support region that you want to watch here at this quarterly. and you're healthily above this monthly level. This is a very, very strong move. So you're actually at your R1 yearly pivot. So this is another level, and it's trying to push right now, which is kind of funny. But if I take off, I mean, obviously, you look at the Ichimoku, it's phenomenally bullish. I'm going to turn it off just for a second. But you can see that once you get above, so like you're above your monthly right now, if this is to hold, you're above your R1 yearly pivot. Really, the last two resistances that you have, they're not major resistances, I would say, especially after getting past this one. But if you're able to clear this macro value area high, you really have a lot of upside. So you're gonna have, I wouldn't be surprised, these tops here. So this one that was in March, this one in May. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some pushback here. That wouldn't be surprising. But really, if you're able to clear this region and get above it, there's a lot of air up here, and I think Matic could run really hard. It already has run nicely, but if you're able to reclaim these levels, I mean, you're talking even just from where you sit. Just from where you sit right now, up to this monthly is 61%. And then up to this weekly here is about 130% move. So like I said, a lot of upside potential still. Chart looks phenomenal. But it's just the same as EOS. You cleared a major resistance zone here. You want to see this turn into support. So now I would actually flip this box into support. So you want to see this green box hold. You do not want to see price come back through and lose it. So if price did one of these, if you come back down and retest again, totally fine. Maybe you come back down and retest your point of control. That would be okay. Maybe you come back and test it before you move higher. But what I would not want to see is kind of this move, you lose your quarterly, maybe you back test it and you do one of these. That would be bad. Like, I would not want to see this lost. This to me would mean, if we lost this macro point of control / yearly level, we very easily could be headed quite a bit lower. So I would become kind of bearish on Matic if that were to happen. But for now, looks phenomenal. Again, if you're a Matic holder, nice work. Probably very happy right now. So on to Tron, I also touched on this one. Last night's video, very nice move up, got a really big candle. Came up and tagged the R1 yearly pivot today. You can see from an Ichimoku standpoint, this is essentially what you want to see. You have your cloud is bullish, price is price is kind of up there. Chiku span obviously above price. This is Tron is definitely in bullish posturing. But if you look at the Bitcoin pairing, and this is similar to rep that I talked about earlier. I mean, this is a really ugly chart. You had your spike up and essentially nothing but down. This is just a huge down move. But what I like about it, with the USDT pairing looking as good as it does, again, is that if we can flip, and I talked about this at length in the video last night, but if Tron can, get a close above or close inside a cloud here, get your blue Tenkin to bullishly cross your yellow Kijun and start to flip the script kind of as far as the Bitcoin pairing chart goes, Tron could be one of those that could have a massive move to the upside. But it would be nice to have the Bitcoin pairing, it'd be nice to see that bullish as well to support the USDT chart. But that's essentially what I got. Again, I went over recent or current Bitcoin price action. Talked about rep, EOS, Matic, Tron. A lot of the charts look really good. But anyway, if you like this content, if you wouldn't mind smashing the like button, click subscribe, that way you're notified of all my future videos. There's also I spend majority of my day over in Discord, so if you want an invite to Discord, there will also be a link in the description below. Feel free to come by. We got a really awesome community there. kind of a small community right now, but it's really nice. Everybody knows everybody, and we just basically sit around and we post charts, and we, you know, we just have a really good time most of the day. So if you're interested, pop on by. But you take care. See you next time.